Ever since there's been two of anything, animal or vehicle that could be raced, a certain kind of man has always wanted to put them side by side to see who could make the fastest time between two fixed points. No matter what it was, in a straight line, round and round in a circle, or even cross-country, there's always one that wants to get to the finish line first.
He's the number one.
He's just the man to beat.
He's a superior.
Don Garlits.
Big Daddy. It's Garlits.
He's it.
He's Big Daddy.
Big Daddy Don Garlits, the legend in his own time, winner of more Top Fuel titles than any other man in drag racing.
When I got started into drag racing, there wasn't any drag racing. It was back in the early 50s, and it's just a car club that I was a member of called the Strokers, and there was about 15 of us. And that was drag racing in the early 50s.
Yeah, I've worked for Big Daddy for 4 years now, and he's a genius when it comes to a Top Fuel engine. Don is probably the best tuner of a Top Fuel dragster in the world.
Put it this way, nobody can work for Big Daddy a long time, you know? Because he doesn't want him to know his secrets. I don't think.
My men should know what happened.
Don Garlits has been the major innovator in drag racing. In 1970, during a race against Richard Tharp in Long Beach, California, Big Daddy's car exploded, blowing off part of his right foot. In his hospital bed, Garlits designed a new Top Fuel dragster, a rear-engine car that totally revolutionized Top Fuel racing.
Well, being at the top is kind of like being one of the old gunfighters of the West. You know, you're a target. Every new guy that comes along takes a shot at you, and you got to give them a chance. If you don't, the competition says you're through.
One of these days he's going to wake up and he's not going to be on top.
If we wanted to talk about over a long period of time, I'd have to say some of the toughest competition has come from the Candies and Hughes car with that presently Richard Tharp drives it.
We're both running good and we both leave good. And, you know, it's always a nip and tuck deal.
He's got a Top Fuel dragster and that he wants to outrun me, and I don't want him outrunning me.
Where are you going? You're driving around these streets like a maniac.
I'm a little late getting out here to the races.
A little late getting down to the races. Let me have your license and registration, please.
Where'd you come from? Anyway?
Where'd I come from? Chasing you. Richard Tharp. Richard Tharp, the race driver.
Yeah.
Richard Tharp has come a long way from the streets of Las Cruces, New Mexico, through midgets, through funny cars, to the World Championship in Top Fuel Eliminator.
When you was 4 or 5, maybe 6 years old, you knew you was going to race something, you know. Or I knew I was going to race something. We raced little bitty cars, and we raced tricycles, bicycles, motorcycles, and then we went into the cars.
What do you want to do?
Nothing.
Nothing? Well, you're as close to it as anybody's been.
Yeah, well, you know, I just like taking it easy and having a good time and playing. That's it.
What do you do for fun?
You name it, and I'll do it. Anything. Yeah, I just like to have a good time. I mean, we have a lot of things we do, you know.
There's been a story going around for years. One time you got in a contest, an eating contest with somebody, and you actually ate a live baby bird. Is that right?
No. The guy that won the contest ate the live baby bird. I stopped on the goldfish. Really?
Don the Snake Prudhomme is dominant.
Went back into low.
Regarded as the kingpin of the sport, he has won more national titles than any other in Culver City, California. He started driving top fuelers before he got into funny cars. 4 times in a row, the Snake captured the world champion title in one of the most difficult of all motorsports, funny car racing. He has gone on to become one of the most respected and dedicated drivers in motor racing history.
Well, you pinch my fanny, I can pinch yours. How about I blow them out? Make a wish now.
Come on. Up there, hurry up.
Make a wish. Harder, harder, harder.
Come on. Okay.
I want the green part.
Oh, the green part. You're not fussy, huh?
Okay.
Is that yummy?
I love my home life and I like doing different things, but when you get out to the racetrack,
I wanted one too.
I think I'm a different person. I don't even feel like me now, you know, it's completely different.
God damn it.
Huh? Yeah, it was funny, wasn't it? Yeah, you know, when I stationed, I don't know.
It's okay.
The current #1 challenger to champion Don Prudhomme is young Billy Meyer.
Hello, I did everything.
In a professional career that began when he was barely 16, Billy won the coveted funny car manufacturer's title at Orange County International Raceway and had, by the time he was 20, set a new NHRA low elapsed time record for funny cars.
It's a slogan that my father wrote quite a few years ago, which I live by, and I have it on my wall at home, and it's whatever you vividly imagine,
ardently desire, sincerely believe, and then enthusiastically act upon must inevitably come to pass.
and I think that's quite true. I mean, if you really believe in something and if you really try hard enough, it's going to be yours one of these days.
Billy's probably one of the hardest chargers I've ever met in my life. He's got more going for him than any racer I've ever met. He's got dedication, he's got drive. Nothing has stopped him. He suffered 2 crashes last year. He was racing within weeks.
I mean, it's a good thing he wasn't a prize fighter, because he would keep getting up after he was out.
He is going to be one of drag racing's ultra superstars. Plus, he's darn good looking, and I don't know how they keep the girls away from him.
I guess when he was about 5 years old, I brought home a fire engine thing with a battery in it, and he quickly wanted something that would go faster. And we got one of the initial stock go-karts and began to set some records. Then he came to me one time when he was about 16, and he wanted to get full-blown dragster.
I'd put on one of these fire suits I'd never put on before. It took me a few seconds to pull up and make my attempt, and it was a blistering 10 feet attempt. I shut it off, and they opened the body, and I jumped out. And, I mean, that was enough.
Look at you. You had long hair. And well, how old were you then?
16.
16. Everyone has to start in drag racing someplace. Billy Meyer in Killeen, Texas in 1971. But I wonder where a woman starts in a sport like drag racing.
The fellas would protest anytime we came to the racetrack that we had to be cheating. We ran so good, we had to be cheating. And it's just that we knew all the little tricks of the trade. I knew I had the qualities. I knew I had the ability. All I wanted was the chance to prove I could do it. And I used to do that every Wednesday night. And when it got to the point in my 3-room apartment, there were probably 150 trophies everywhere, in the bathroom, in the living room, underneath the bed, in my bedroom. And I wound up selling 170 some odd trophies back to the racetrack for $2 a piece, and then I went out and bought a brand new 456 gear rear end for the car.
Shirley Muldowney, the first woman ever to be licensed to drive a Top Fuel dragster.
Don't tell my secrets, Waterman.
Shirley, in winning the Top Fuel World Championship, wheeled her car into the winner's circle, defeating the best male drivers in the sport.
My sister was really a pretty girl, and I was kind of like a rogue, you know, and I was the little scrawny one, and she didn't want me around. My dad was always very special because I was always his little girl. I was the one that was supposed to be his little boy, and I turned out to be his tomboy. So he was really hard on me, but I knew I could always go to him when I really had a problem. And he was determined I was going to be a musician, and I played an accordion for 4 or 5 years, and I knew that was not my bag. I went on to something else. I had to make a move because I was notorious as far as racing on the streets, and there used to be a trooper, New York State trooper named Trooper Coyne, and he was notorious. In fact, you could hear him coming, and I know he was cranking the car over 90 miles an hour. You'd hear him coming a couple miles away at night, and he would collect a stack of driver's licenses about that high, and he'd walk over to the car and he'd say, "Shirley, how did you get this car here? We towed it, you know. Have you been running it?" No. And of course, he would burn his hand on the hood of the car. And he gave me a warning then that they would see if they could put me in the armed forces, enlist me if I didn't stop. And that is when I decided to actually go to the drag strip and kind of get rid of, they called them frustrations, and it wasn't that at all. It was the competition, it was the cars, and it was the fellas, just flat beating the boys, and that was a ton of fun for me.
In the last few years, drag racing has settled to its own place in the world of great racing events. But you know, it had its own beginnings on the streets. The 50s. Drag racers were the outlaws in those days. They built their cars in garages and alleys, sometimes using stolen parts, and most of the time with borrowed tools.
I'm not really sure.
If there is any work for me, they're going to the house, head on the mouth, preaching at a crime, telling me that I'm blind by the job, that I never could find. Job not a shot out and I'm not good. Job not a shot out and I'm not good. Job not a shot out and I'm not good. Job not a shot out and I'm not good. Job not a shot out and I'm not good.
One of those girls in band. There's a new one. Yeah, there's a new one. They just came out.
Too much for you? Should Mommy let you borrow the car today?
What?
They took their action to the streets. They could get their kicks anywhere. Anywhere, that is, they could find a stretch of open, clear road. How it all began.
Well, I think in the 1950s, we have to admit that the drag racer was generally considered a public nuisance. He was somebody that people related to squealing at or doing various other reckless things.
Wally Parks, the president and founder of the National Hot Rod Association. It was his visions in 1951 that created championship drag racing, and his efforts have brought the sport to the level of acceptance it has today.
In the days of the origin of the drag racing sport, one of the prime purposes was to try to find some kind of a safe substitute for street racing, because we were having very serious problems in California. And those of us who were members of organized car clubs are working closely with the police and with the highway patrol, trying to find some better solution than going out and racing on the streets. We found that the most logical prospect was the use of some of the abandoned military runways. Could accelerate the average automobile that was in use for a quarter of a mile and still allow enough room to get safely stopped. That was the basis on the establishment of the quarter mile as a standard distance. It was just a matter of how far can you go before you have to get stopped, before you run out of room.
No parachutes or anything?
No, there were no parachutes, and not very much brakes. Well, I think all of us who were ever involved in the early days admit that it was never planned this way. But we have built it into what is today the largest form of motorsports as far as the number of participants, the amount of equipment, participating industries, and so forth. There's no question about the fact that we're happy and we're proud and we're amazed.
Each year, millions of spectators attend over 5,000 races worldwide to view championship drag racing, the biggest, richest, and most prestigious of them all, the U.S. Nationals at Indianapolis Raceway Park. The most popular of all drag racing machines, the funny car, a short wheelbase nitro methane burning dragster covered by a fiberglass body, closely patterned after a production model automobile. The ultimate car in drag racing is the Top Fuel Dragster. It's powered by an aluminum block racing engine, supercharged, delivering well over 2,000 horsepower, and can cover the quarter of a mile in well under 6 seconds at speeds up to and exceeding 250 miles an hour.
Thank you. Is it raining out? Thank you. Skippy. Skip. How you doing? You sleep good.
The thing I like the most probably is between the money and the speed. Probably the speed, because there's nothing like running 250 miles an hour. You know. Racing used to be my whole life. I mean, you know, I used to eat it and sleep it, and I still do in a way. But, you know, it's getting harder to get up for the race every time. I mean, you know, like I'm 35 years old, and I'm going to tell you, it's not like it was when you was 25 or 26 years old. You know, I like to win. I try to win. And I think you can ask anybody at the races. You know, I mean, I don't like to screw anybody around, but I like to win. If I get where I don't win, I'm really hell. I can't get along with anybody. I mean, I have to win. If, you know, winning isn't everything, but, you know, losing's nothing.
And now the final race in Top Fuel Eliminator here at the Summer Nationals in Englishtown, New Jersey. Richard Tharp at the wheel of the Candies and Hughes Dragster against Shirley Muldowney. You know, they've been fighting throughout the entire season, along with Don Garlits, for that points lead. Struggle as all three drivers, at one point or another, held the lead during the season. Every race from this point on becomes more difficult. And Shirley wins it. A 5.95 to a 5.98 up to a second place for Shirley Muldowney. For Richard Tharp. You know, the Candies and Hughes car, the long blue car just didn't seem to have it today. When you come to race the lady, you'd better be ready to run and run hard. And that wraps it up for another great race here at Englishtown. We certainly hope that
as the lady takes her helmet off, we're going to wander in here and tell her elapsed time. But Shirley Muldowney is definitely back after some problems early in the year.
5.98 final was the closest race of the entire meet as Shirley Muldowney pulled out a big win over Richard.
Oh, he's just, you know, he's as moody as the weather. You know, the only thing I know that changes as much as Tharp is South Louisiana weather.
Another tough race for Richard Tharp. He is just 300ths of a second too slow.
I don't know if it's worth it. I really don't.
I don't know how we're going to live with Tharp anymore. You know, he's a plenty grubby dude. I don't know how we put up with him. I can't stand him around the car anymore. He stinks so bad, needs a shave. You know, I don't know when's the last time he hit a bath.
And his attitude's getting bad. He won't listen to you. He won't do what you tell him. And the more you lose, the worse it gets.
Well, Richard's like the sunshine. When he's up and he's winning, he's up. And when he's down, he is like the sun down. I'm telling you. Rude Richard, I call him.
Get the camera out of here.
Drag racing is every man's sport. Was born in the streets and still belongs to the common man. You don't have to be rich to race. There are cars you can race and still drive on the street, to school or to work or for play. Look at it this way. If it runs, it can be made to run better. Any engine can be modified, can be built for more power or speed, or you can build a car from the oil pan up and start at the top of the line with almost no experience in the sport. Doesn't mean you're going to win, though. It takes time to learn. Needs a lot of confidence and experience to learn to win. But that doesn't limit your chances to compete. A novice can run at the same tracks with the greats of the sport. With Garlits, with Prudhomme, Muldowney, Meyer, or Tharp.
Drag racing includes 100 different classes, separated by the weight of the car, the size of the engine, the type of fuel used, and the allowable modification.
I think the thrill is that every time we make a run, we're trying to make a perfect run. And when we make what we consider a perfect run, then we look for that more perfect run. And our only limit is that we can't get there before we start.
When you're dealing with 6 seconds, to me, that 6 seconds down the quarter mile starts at 8 o'clock or 7 o'clock or 6 o'clock in the morning whenever you get up. I'm running the 6 seconds. You know, when I'm strapped in the car, I'm constantly thinking about the clutch, the fuel combination we have in the engine at the time, who I have to run, clutch pack clearance in the engine, the stall spring. There's a lot of things you think about. So when it's backing up, you're listening to the sound of the engine. It's just like playing an instrument, you know. It's popping right, sounding right, talking right to you, doing all the good things. And when it goes up there in stages, and as you're kind of limping up to the starting line with it, and it stages, you have it right on the toe of your foot, you know. It just happens.
You become part of your car. You know, you actually do when you're racing, and especially when you're going fast. You're actually part of that car. The nose of the car and the wheels out in front are actually extensions of yourself. Really, it doesn't feel like I'm in a car. It feels like it's my body doing that.
A lot of people want to know what it feels like to go 250 miles an hour. And it's really very hard to explain. Quite simply, it takes your breath away. You start to get a very high pitch of concentration, getting ready for the start. And finally, right at the very last moment, as you concentrate and bear down on the Christmas tree to see the bulb, you can only see the bulb. Everything else is gone from your vision. And then you let the parachute out and you get the big jerk and you come down. And when you get out of the car down on the other end, it's hard for the crew to understand just exactly how you feel. But, you know, you've just made this run and you're really on a high key. And things that don't seem so important to them are very important to you.
It was lean. It went into a lean position.
Like, you want that time. You want to know what your time was right now, and you don't want to be waiting around for it. Kind of like a little treat that you gave your dog, you know, when he did a trick just right.
Going to an 88, partner.
So if my crew don't give me the time real quick when they get out at the truck on the other end, then quite possibly I won't make as good a run the next time.
This is an addictive sport. It's difficult to describe the rush that comes with a good run. Speed itself is kind of a strange narcotic, both beautiful and evil. The hit's quick and it's mean, but quick is only quick once, and then it's not quick enough. There has to be something else, another mile an hour, a hundredth of a second less in elapsed time. But more speed isn't the answer. Just one more quick run won't cut it with a real racer. There's got to be somebody to challenge, somebody in the other lane, somebody to beat.
You know, I've come up the hard way, I like to say, in drag racing. I've been doing it for some 19 years, and when I first started, it was my wife and myself towing down the road with a race car, and I don't think Billy Myers has ever done that. And I believe that the money that he's gotten and things he's done has come from his family, and I don't think he's ever even had a job, as far as
So what
I
you're
know.
saying, you think then that money can buy a competitive race car?
Absolutely, yeah. It just that's all. That's what it really takes is a lot of money, and it can do that. So
Well, if he can outspend you, then he can outride you.
well, that's possible. Yeah. He might be better than me. You know, I'm not really sure. Who knows? But I really doubt it.
And Don Prudhomme wins it, a 6th lap to a 6:01. What a tremendous race. The State winning it over Billy Meyer by just 1/100th of a second.
Oh, I think probably 70% of drag racing with the top 5 people are luck.
No, I don't believe in luck. You know, that's when you break something on the line or whatever it may be, that's because it wasn't prepared right or you had the wrong piece on the car.
Very lucky.
So I don't believe in luck.
One lucky break.
Luck?
Oh, very major part. Very major part.
It all depends. If it's just in me, if it's your day, you're going to win. If it ain't, you ain't. I feel like luck's about 95% of drag racing.
No, 50%. 10% would be luck, and 90% would be hard thinking, you know? You got to use your brain.
There's no single answer. Drag racing's a way of life. That much is clear. It's one of the few occupations in the world that allows you to control your own success or failure. Once you field a competitive car, you're on your own. You call the shots. You choose the hours you want to work, the races you want to run. If you put together the right combination of parts and ingenuity and luck, you can race your way right to the top. If you don't, you got nobody to blame but yourself.
Of the many offshoots of drag racing, sand dragging is unique. A stunning ballet on 300 feet of pure sand.
If you know about your mechanical pieces, you understand what their limitations are, then you know how hard to drive the car and what you can do to it. Where some drivers, they don't work on the car at all. Well, Shirley Muldowney is an example.
I don't maintain the cars and keep them together. I just drive it.
So how could she possibly know when she's going down course what the car can stand and what it can't stand? And I think this is very important to being successful.
I have a lot of confidence in myself. I know what I'm doing out there.
But I understand every part of my car, and so therefore I know what to expect out of it and just how much it can take on any given run.
Richard is obsessed with winning to the point where he's been sleeping in his car at the track and having all sorts of wild fantasies. Something has to happen right away. He's gotten impossible.
We don't race to beat people. I think we race to conquer our machinery.
The problems with Jeb Allen's top fuel dragster. Coming around helping on the cars, funny car drivers Billy Meyer and Raymond Beadle. It looks like there is something leaking from the engine. Prudhomme saying he has got 2 minutes to get the car to the starting line, or he'll have to forfeit his race to Jake Coughlin.
You ready, Ronnie? Slide it. Here they go.
Apparently they've got the problem fixed, and here he comes, Jeb Allen heading to the starting line. No, wait a minute. Something else seems to have gone wrong with Jeb's engine. Billy Meyer taking off his shirt, getting down and working on the engine. The crew says the engine is okay. Jeb Allen being signaled to the starting line, where Jay Kaufman has been patiently waiting. Jeb Allen wins a 6:02 to a losing 6:07. Jeb comes up with a winning speed of 230.76 miles an hour. He's got to pay a lot of thanks to the last-minute help from Raymond Beadle and Billy Meyer.
You gotta find a girl who gets into it as much as you do, because if you do, then she'll know if you don't win, you don't get any money.
If I was in my car ready to race and three beautiful women laid down in front of it, I'd have to ask them to wait a minute. I'll be right back, because, if they're still interested, because I got to race this car.
It draws them. The pretty cars and the pretty women draws people to drag racing. Even other women want to see pretty women, and pretty cars. Got to be professional about it.
But I would like to marry someday and have children. A large family, if I could handle the situation, if I have enough patience and whatever it takes to be a parent.
I still would be very careful about having children in the sport that I'm in.
A family someday would definitely come first, though.
In other words, I wouldn't quit racing just to have a family.
Sometimes I wonder, what am I doing in this relationship?
You got to have a woman who's into it as much as you are, because if you don't win, you don't eat. And if you don't eat, that's it,
Being a wife of a race driver like Jeb Allen, it's hard. You can't tell him dreams that you have, You have to listen to him and what he has in his dreams.
I think if you were to ask me what the worst part about drag racing was, it's the telephone call when you're not at the track.
It's kind of scary. It's apprehensive when I know that he's making a run and I know exactly what time he's supposed to be running, and I sit in front of the clock and I just watch the clock.
Well, naturally, the biggest fear is always that something will happen to them and they might be terribly injured or even killed. And just recently this winter, I was in Tucson with Don, and he was racing Marvin Schwartz, who's been a good friend of ours through the years. And Marvin was in a horrible accident, and he was killed. And the things going through my mind at the time, I kept thinking that I was so glad his wife, Christine, wasn't there.
I went over those trees and the telephone poles and all that stuff, but I've been lucky. I've been real lucky.
It's funny, I've thought about it a couple times, but it won't be at a race for some reason.
You've got to block that out of your mind.
Sometimes, I get thinking, well, I've been here a long time and made a lot of passes, and, pretty soon it's going to catch up with you, you know what I mean? I don't think about dying. If it's my time to go, it's my time to go. Whether I'm in that race car or if I'm in this trailer sitting here and, you know, an airplane falls on it. That's just the way I look at it. I don't worry about it.
You think most drivers feel that way?
I think most of them feel that way. That when it's your time to go, it's your time to go, or they wouldn't be there, you know. I mean, if every time you got in that car, you said, oh my God, am I going to die? You know, what kind of deal is that? Who'd want to do that? You know, who'd want to think about that 5 times a week, you know?
They don't know life or death. They just get it right on down the line.
It's very easy to get killed at 200 miles an hour. And the Lord's been very good to me throughout the years. And so I feel that everything that I got and all my abilities and everything are directly credited to God. And so by putting that cross on the car, it's just a little small way of saying thank you, Lord, for all that you've done for me. But an awful lot of Christian people have come by the car and have really liked it because there is an awful lot of good Christian people around, believe it or not.
After his long losing streak, Richard Tharp seems to have it together. He qualified at over 243. If Richard wins this race and goes on and does well at Indianapolis, he still has a chance of winning the championship. Richard Tharp wins it, an incredible 5.94 seconds. And Richard Tharp wins again, 5.93 seconds, his speed over 246 miles an hour. What an incredible comeback to Tharp after his mid-season.
Drag racers are a breed of their own. They won't let anything step in their way. They have made improvements that Chrysler, General Motors, Ford have never even thought of, and many of them have copied a lot of drag racing ideas. We're having to make ever constant changes in fuel systems. These engines use about 18 gallons of fuel per minute. The future of drag racing is wide open. It's probably one of the most scientific things going. It's as scientific as anything that there is out there in any sport of any kind. The manufacturing of this rod has gotten more and more critical all the time. We've gone to tool steel bolts. We've gone to half-inch aircraft threads. There's been a tremendous amount of change just to keep the rod in the engine.
This fell down and the crank came around, hit it, and knocked it out through the side of the block.
Well, a lot of them don't pay attention to the instruction sheets that are in the boxes. You send them parts and pieces, you give them directions, they throw the directions away, and they do it the way they feel is best.
No, you can see exactly what happened. If Sid was here right now, I could show him exactly, and he'd have no, he'd have no argument.
There is nothing that's unbreakable. I'm sure that some of these racers could break a steel ball in a sandbox.
You know, I've been giving a lot of thought about all the miles that we put on going up and down this highway. Maybe next year we can run less dates. I'm burned out, I'm tired.
Yeah, that'd be nice. Except the racing, I like the racing part of it. It's just that traveling, living out of the suitcase and eating those greasy spoon restaurants that gets to you.
I've seen every highway, every Howard Johnson's, every hot dog stand from here to New York City. You don't get to see anything. You see interstate, you see motel rooms. People think, gee, you've been through 50 states and 2 countries. Well, all I've seen is interstate. I got to see the Empire State Building one time because we got on the wrong freeway.
Boy, they sure do some weird things at these races up here in Seattle.
Stands above the rest. A1. While he was gone, the Snake Prudhomme and other top NHRA drivers switched to Cam 2 motor oil because Cam 2 does more than just lubricate. Cam 2 can actually increase engine horsepower up to 5% over the best straight weight motor oil.
Smell of nitro. Clears your sinus.
Love every minute of it. Love the excitement, the beer drinking, and just the running.
The whole thing, everything. The camping, the drag racing, partying, the women.
We'd like to take this opportunity to welcome each and every one of you to this, the final
day of the U.S. Nationals here at Indianapolis Raceway Park. The weather?
Fantastic. The qualifying, even better. Big Daddy Don Garlits coming close to that all-time record of 255 miles an hour. Shirley Muldowney, the #1 qualifier in Top Fuel Eliminator, beating out her old rival Connie Coletta. Richard Tharp, he's back on his game again in that long blue Top Fuel dragster of candies and hues. The money car #1, Don Prudhomme, 6.01 seconds at over 240 miles an hour. Raymond Beadle, he's fresh back from England after his triumphant tour of the racetracks in Great Britain. You can bet there's a lot of action going on in the pits right now, getting ready for the start of final elimination. The main engineering excellence that goes into the fine racing product of these days. Funny car, it is Billy Meyer out of Waco, Texas, up against Tom the Mongoose McEwen. The word goes out to start the engine. There seems to be some trouble with Billy Meyer's car. The crew's lifting that fiberglass body, they're looking at the engine. I guess everything's okay. The body's coming back down and Meyer is heading to the starting line.
on.
Well, if there's oil on the track, that ain't very fair, is it?
Well, this is something you have to take up with the town.
Well, you got the radio. Call them. I can't run up there.
Control, race master, bye. Okay, Prudhomme would like to go back in the pits and come back out after he can check the track.
Ladies and gentlemen, it looks like our NHRA safety safari has just about got the cleanup work completed, and we'll be back into action in just a few moments. Also, we expect some word very quickly on Billy Meyer's condition, and as soon as we get it, we'll pass it on to you. The funny car is Don the Snake Prudhomme in the U.S. Army car against one of the most feared entries in all of drag racing, the Blue Max of Raymond Beadle. There's a jam-packed crowd in the racetrack today, and we have everybody that has to be standing up in front of the bandstand. At 225 miles an hour. And oh, what a tough break for Raymond Beadle and the Blue Max crew. It looks like the end of another engine comeback. But for Prudhomme, another big win here in the semifinals. And if you take a look at some of the elapsed times he's been notching today, get ready, Tom McEwen, because we're going to have a tough run in the finals. Long-time rival, Don the Snake Prudhomme against Tom the Mongoose McEwen. The funny car finals here in
Yeah, but I beat the throttle a little on this. Did you tell that? Before I left, I beat the throttle a little bit.
Yeah, almost started to. I noticed.
Word comes from the pit that Don Prudhomme may have smoked a piston or two in that last race against Ray Beadle. But Bob Brand, his crew chief, and the crew hard at work getting that engine ready to go.
Don't worry about leaking, just put you all laid out.
We've just received word in the tower that Billy Meyer is hospitalized with burns about the hands, but otherwise is okay. Again, these used cars have been running good this past couple of weeks. A number of flags football player can or football player, but for Shirley Muldowney has not been Prudhomme against Tom McClelland. The crash by Billy Meyer in the semifinals gave the win to the Mongoose, and that allowed him to move into the finals against his longtime friend and rival, Don the Snake Prudhomme.
Let her turn me a piece of paper.
This is one of the longest and most hard-fought rivalries in all of drag racing. They go back many years, almost 2 decades, in fact. They've been longtime friends. In fact, at one time, Tom McClelland and Don Prudhomme raced together with an operation called the Wildlife Racing Team. What better when you have a snake and a mongoose but to team up and tour the country and show the rest of the world what West Coast drag racing is all about. But over the past years, Don Prudhomme saw his metro race. This race, Tom McClelland's son passed away just a week ago. He was a dedicated drag racer and had been suffering over the years.
My son Jamie, who was 15 years old, died of leukemia a week ago. One of the last things he told me in the hospital was he really missed coming to Indy and to go to Indy and beat Prudhomme.
You go up the start line to race him, and you kind of, you know, it's kind of your pal you're racing. And so therefore you have to kind of stay on your toes and not get real close to people. That's...
The final race is Money Car Eliminator, Don the Snake Prudhomme against Tom the Mongoose.
Try, Don.
Lovely taking off the glove. Tom the Mongoose. McClelland, I'm not sure that reality hasn't set in yet. Just get this mask off. Tom McClelland, you won it. The biggest thrill of your drag racing life.
That was my son.
Tom McClelland, U.S. national champion. Concerned about the guy that beat his friend, Tom the Mongoose McClelland.
He leaves the race like a 30 gear. One time, just halfway down.
Cannot believe it. Don Prudhomme. It's an incredible final. Very good luck to you. Subscribe as many times as I've been here. I have seen 2 moments packed with as much emotion as this.
Coming up next, the final race of the day. This is the big one. Big Daddy Don Garlits against Richard Tharp.
Go Big Daddy!
People
are always asking me, you know, what is it like to be Don Garlits' daughter? And I just look at it, you know, what can you say but fantastic? First thing I do when he's pulling up to the strip is I start praying, because, you know, at that point, he's putting his life on the line, you know. Anything could go wrong with the car, and he might, you know, not be with us anymore.
Richard Tharp is in the pits getting ready.
Richard's really got his heart set on winning this race, and I hope he does, because if he does, we're going to go to Hawaii for a week.
The rivalry between Richard Tharp and Don Garlits has gone on all season long. Tharp's been running better than ever, but Big Daddy Don Garlits, he's the one to watch. For over 20 years, this man has been driving a top-fuel dragster. He has made more competitive passes in championship drag racing than any other man in the history of top-fuel. Big Daddy comes from being at the top of the hill. And Richard Tharp, the brash upstart, the playboy of championship drag racing, is ready to race. This may very well be the race of the year in Top Fuel Eliminator, right here on the starting line at Indianapolis Raceway Park.
Big Daddy wins the big one.
Good job, Big
Boy, some emotion.
Two inner circle.